Well, again, I want to say thanks for having me here. It's an honor to be here. Some of you guys I got to meet last night, and some I met this morning. And I just want to say thank you for all that you do for this church. I know Pastor Bert and all of the staff and all of the leaders are very appreciative, very thankful for all that you do. And today I want to do just some quick trainings, share some quick thoughts with you guys on how and why we grow as musicians, as singers. With worship, it's funny because I always think it's interesting that pastors give us half the service. We got a lot of people coming in, and we really only do two things basically, well, three things during a service, right? We sing some songs, we hear from the Word of God, and of course you cannot leave without taking an offering, right? So there's only a couple of things that really have to happen. We got to pay the bills, we got to sing some songs and worship Jesus, we got to hear from some sound doctrine and some teaching to help us in our walks with Christ. So this is what we gather for, right? And so half of the service, half of what happens on a Sunday morning is in your hands. That's pretty big. That's a pretty big honor. That's a pretty big responsibility, right? So it's like, if at home we have this process. We have a whole process to get involved with the worship ministry, and I'm sure you guys do too. I heard a little bit about it yesterday. Somebody mentioned an audition. Somebody mentioned a probationary period. We have all that kind of stuff, right? And sometimes we get some pushback on it. Well, why do we have an audition? Or why do we have this? Or why do you have to fill out an application to be part of the worship ministry? And it's because it's important. What happens up here on a Sunday morning is important. Or a Sunday night, or whenever the service is, it's crazy important. You guys know that because you've invested a whole weekend to come and learn how to do it better. You guys understand that, but it's good to be reminded that it's a big honor that we have. It's a big challenge, and it's a big opportunity for us to be able to pour into the people who are coming, because there are people coming in our doors that don't know Christ. There are people that are coming in our doors who may know Christ but are dealing with depression, and they need to hear that His love overwhelms us. They need to come in and stand in awe of these words that we're singing. I recently saw a funny video. You guys may have seen it. It's basically they're singing this fictitious song. The people are out there like, your grace, your great, the gracefulness of your grace overwhelms my grace, and all this. Like, it's like all the words are weird, but when we really look at the words that we're singing on a Sunday morning, we get the opportunity to put words in people's mouths that they're singing to God. So when we sing songs like "We Stand in Awe of You," there's people that need to come in and just stand in awe of God. And so for us, it's a huge opportunity, it's a huge honor, and it's a huge responsibility. And how we steward that responsibility is important, right? And you guys have made huge steps to steward that well. And right now, being here all weekend is a huge step to steward that well. And so I want to start out just kind of talking about my story, how I came up. I talked about it a little bit last night, but quick glance of my story is that I started attending Mid-Cities whenever I was 10 years old. And my dad played guitar and was involved with the worship ministry, so I always wanted to do that. I mean, when I was like 8 years old, they always asked, what do you want to do when you grow up at school? And mine was Christian rock musician. That's what it said in kindergarten all the way through like third grade. And then it changed to like policeman or something. But because everybody else was that. That's when you start caring about what everybody else thinks. So, but Christian rock musician, that's what I always wanted to be. And so for me, I always knew I wanted to do music. I always knew I wanted to play in church and play on the worship team. And for some, playing on the worship team is like something you do on the side. For me, it was always something that I looked up to, that I aspired to play and lead people in worship. And so I said this last night. I learned all my chord theory, all my music theory, just coming up trying to play Israel songs. Having to figure out how to play a C major 9, whatever. Learning different accidentals and how he used them, and how, you would hear the original song that's real simple in 4 chords, and then you would hear the Israel version, and it's got about 11 billion chords in it, and you would go, well, what did he do? In dissecting those things and learning from that. And so my trajectory has always been one of growth, trying to get better and better at what I do. And for a long time, it was, and still is, about the music, because we want to grow and be better as a musician. But, later on, once I began working in worship ministry as a job, it was no longer just kind of, something I did on Sundays. It's something I did throughout the week. I started really realizing, like, it's more, it's more the music. It's beyond a song. It's so that we can provide and create an atmosphere in which people can come in and experience God's presence and be able to sing to Him, and in an environment where there's not distraction, where in an environment where you're not worried about what is that bass player doing? Like, why does this sound weird? Or why is this out of tune? But where people can come in undistracted and be able to just worship Jesus Christ. And so that's our goal. And so let me ask you this question. Why is it important that we grow if we've all... let me ask this. How many of you have been in a situation where there's one person with a guitar that's out of tune, and he or she is not a good singer, and they're leading worship, and it's a powerful, amazing moment of worship? Have you ever been in that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have too. And it's like, and then you're like, wow, that was amazing and powerful. So what's the point in trying to get better and working, right? If God can come whenever it's horrible, or He could come whenever it's great, then what's the point in making it great? Do you see what I'm saying? And the reason is because God doesn't ask us to be perfect. He doesn't ask us to be perfect in our life. Our goal in life is not perfection, it's obedience. And what has He called us to do? If you're in this room, I would suspect He's part of your calling, part of what He's asked you to do is lead His people in worship through the gifts that He's given you, whether it's bass, drums, guitar. He's asked you to do that. So as we follow through with obedience, it's important for us to grow, and it's important for us to be the best we can. And so many times in churches, this can happen, where we get this excellence mentality, and excellence becomes I have people that come in our worship ministry, and we use the word excellence. We're not, it's been used and abused, so they try to not use the word excellence. We use the word excellence, but we define it. It's been defined in some environments as perfection. If you miss a note, that's not excellence. If you're out of tune, that's not excellence. And I see how they get there. For us at Mid-Cities, this is for us. You guys, will need to grapple with this. But for us, we've defined excellence as bringing the best you can. So, doing the best you can with what you have. Where are you at? Bring in 100%. So this is how it breaks down on our teams. If people come in, I'll give you two scenarios, both bass players. A couple of years ago, I get a call on a Monday. We had a men's event the night before, and we had led worship, and I was MD for that. And I get a call the next day. The guy's like, hey, I'm sorry, man. I'm going to have to step down from the worship team. And he played bass the night before, and I was like, why? What's going on? What happened from last night to this morning? He said, man, I know we were playing that song, and going into the bridge, I held the C too long, and then I wasn't sure what to play on the next downbeat of the bridge, and I kind of just messed that part up, and I'm real sorry, man. I'll step down. And I'm like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, I messed up, and I know it kind of caused a little bit of a train wreck, and so I'll step down. I'm like, hold on, dude. I was like, if you got that vibe from me, that holding that note so long is cause for needing to step down, if that came from me, I'm so sorry, because that is not our heart at all. I've got another guy, one of my best friends in the world. He's in Nashville now. His name's Dave Parker. If you've heard the doxology stuff, he plays bass and all that. Excuse me. But he's a phenomenal bass player. He doesn't mess up. Like he's rock solid. He doesn't miss notes. And so whenever I would MD, and if he was playing,
MD?
Huh? Oh, MD. I'm sorry. MD for it's barely. I know it's because he's thinking about what he's going to have for lunch that day. Like literally, he's not thinking about the music. He's not in it. If he's messing up, it's because he's not paying attention, or he's not. His mind is somewhere else, and he's my best friend, so I know that his mind goes other places all the time, even mid-sentence sometimes. And so, for that, excellence for Dave is going to be almost perfection, because he's a freak of nature. Excellence for somebody else may be coming prepared, doing the best they can, and there's going to be some flubs in there. There's going to be some mistakes, and those things are going to be okay as long as he's on a target of growth and he's getting better and better and better. And when he comes, I can tell that he's giving his all. And so as we grow, and even as we talk about this today and we practice and we look at some different things, it's all about growth. It's not about perfection. There's no way that really any team, and so many times we get this grass is greener mentality, even like, oh, well, Mid-Cities Worship has it all figured out, or Bethel, or Hillsong, they must have it all figured out. They don't mess up. And that's just not true. Like, they have the same things, they have the same issues that we deal with here. It's just on a different level. It's probably, there's more people, but there's still the same things that we go through, and they're still growing and pushing the envelope. One of my favorite, I don't know if you guys watched the Hillsong movie, that Let Hope Rise, Hope Will Rise. That movie was one of the things that impacted me the most, was seeing Joel Houston there, like really grappling over lyrics and wanting to grow in that. When he's like, dude, you've written all these awesome songs, like you could just chill and you could probably write these songs again in your sleep. But he's growing, he's pushing. And that's for us, for you guys, that's my heart for this team, is that no matter where you are in your musical journey, whether you've just started singing or playing, or whether like Boggs over here, like crazy musical degrees and composing all these crazy things, that we would continue to push and that we would continue to grow in the gifting that God's given us. And not even just specifically getting better on our instruments, but getting better in learning how to refine, how to play in an environment, to set the environment that I said it earlier, to establish an environment where people can come in and worship without distraction. So sometimes that means simplifying, sometimes that means growing. And so wherever you are in your musical journey, I hope that today, and if you don't take anything away, that we would continue to grow, continue to get better, to learn new things in order to accomplish that goal.